welcome. I'm Ari Lax, and today, with the Magic Online release of Kaladesh, we are going to be doing a Kaladesh draft. So let's shrink these cards a little so we can actually see what's going on here. Uh, the general gist of this format is, well, it is an artifact format. It doesn't play out like previous ones because there's not like an affinity or metalcraft mechanic. It's like a splash of the set. Quickly go through this pack. Saheeli's Artistry is a powerful card, but a little expensive and somewhat conditional. There's a lot of times where the best artifact on the battlefield is just like a Prophetic Prism or something, so it's just like cantrip clone for 6 mana, which isn't the most exciting thing in the world. Um, Restoration Gearsmith is a very powerful card. Grave Diggers have always been powerful. This has both sides of a Grave Digger, but double color. Evoke Privileges is worse than the other two removal spells in the pack. And I think Welding Sparks is worse than Sky Whaler Shot. This just kills anything and scries, whereas this takes some setup and doesn't scry. After those 4 cards, I think the most exciting thing is probably Thriving Rhino or Malfunction. This is a little more expensive, a little clunky. This is a pretty solid aggressive creature. I'm going to start on the Whaler Shot here. This is an interesting follow-up. So the cards that jump out to me are Arborback Stomper. This is the most raw, powerful card in the pack. It's just basically Thragtusk, minus the 2-for-1. A Visionary Augmenter is very powerful and matches our first pick in color. And Thriving Grubs is another card that I've been pretty impressed with. Any game where it attacks twice and gets 2+1 counters, it runs pretty out of control fast. I think Stomper is the most powerful card. With a common missing, there's a chance it could really be anything. It could be a 4. It could be Welding Sparks. It could be Revoke Privileges. It could be really just anything. I think I'm going to go with the Augmenter. I don't think the power level delta here is that big. I think that Augmenter early on lets you do some really interesting stuff. Also, Tidy Conclusions in this package, kind of saw that. I think I'd take Tidy under Grubs, but it's still a very unique effect. Very powerful to have 1 or 2 like things that just kill anything. We have the shot, so it's obviously going to be downgraded in the future. But I think that Augmenter really just boosts the go wide strategies that you can move into in the format in ways that, when it's this early, it's great. Okay, well, this pick I think is very easy. This card, Bomat Courier, has not been the most exciting card in draft. It's kind of hard to attack with it more than once or twice. And it kind of sits around. It takes a while to get value. It's like oddly slow. Another Grubs, but Furious Reprisal is just straight up awesome. It's basically just it kills 2 things and just it's. I've heard stories of Swelter and Onslaught draft or Odyssey draft. I didn't draft that format, just play Constructed then, but I don't think this card is significantly worse than that card was then. It's just so easy to kill 2 things. The worst case scenario is just Searing Blaze a lot of the time. It's just really absurd. No real signals yet besides that, kind of late. I'm going to take another Visionary Augmenter here. There's another Thriving Grubs. We could have had, we couldn't have really had 3. We wouldn't have ever taken one of them. But having 3 Thriving Grubs, like someone's going to have a really good aggressive deck. I'm going to take Visionary Augmenter, though. Just now we have like really solidified this go wide aggro deck with like acrobatic maneuvers and what's it called? Inspiring Charge. Other exciting cards in this pack, not really a ton. Like the next best card past those is like Narnum Cobra is just a creature. Okay, so the best cards in the pack are the Combat Tricks and Gear Per Guide. I could take the Combat Tricks, but they don't mesh well with the white cards that I already have. Pumping one of your creatures is not that exciting with like Visionary Augmenter. I could take Inventor's Goggles, but I don't really need to take that now. I think I can pick one up later if I want it. I think like I've actually been, I thought this card was going to be bad because of the 3/2 body, but the unblockable ability has actually been really obnoxious whenever I played against it. So I'm pretty impressed. I don't want to take a 5-drop. I don't especially like the turtle. There's like it really has to attack once already to be a really good defensive creature, and like when you're playing a defensive creature that has to attack once, that's kind of non-boey. Okay, well, best cards in this pack. Edge Crafters plays well again with the cards that we already have. I'm inclined to take it. We have another Built to Smash, but it doesn't combine well with the cards we have. It's worth noting that if we're green, we can pick up a tune with the Aethers pretty easily. Not pretty easily, but potentially to splash our Furious Reprisal. Thriving Ibex is on color for our white cards. However, it is a 4-drop. We already have multiple white 4-drops. I don't want to just take another mediocre 4-drop. We don't really have any energy payoffs, so I'm kind of off it. Not a lot else in this pack. I'm going to take the perfect payoff for our deck, which is just this giant go wide pump spell over High Spire Artisan. Artisan's fine, but like it doesn't progress your board as much as you want it to. I think that taking basically, we're kind of committed to these colors. We're seeing a little red squeak through, some like defensive sort of blue cards, but not a lot of actual blue, which is really, blue in this format's a little more shallow than the other colors. I don't want to move in if it's just not quite there. I think I'm just going to take Engineered Might. Incendiary Sabotage, Inspired Charge, Takedown, Aradara Express. None of these cards are especially exciting for the spot I'm in. I don't want to be in red because I passed a lot of red early this pack, so I don't want to, like with the grubs, I'd rather just work on splashing that. I could use, the cards I have play into an Incendiary Charge, but I already have one. Takedown, I passed a couple. I think I can wheel one. I don't need a ton. And Aradar Express is kind of replaceable, so I'm going to take the charge. Well, and this is just like not actually a pick. Again, we kind of want a Goggles if we can pick one up with 3 Artificers already. And Built to Last is fine, but again, we're not really a combat trick deck. Whereas Rhino just says even there's no other energy cards. Who cares? It's a 3-mana 3/4. I'm going to take the Puzzle Knot and continue the go wide theme over the Built to Last. Take the on-color Pressure Point over the Bomat Courier. Take another Pressure Point. I don't think I'm going to play both. This Built to Smash still being there is kind of crazy to me. It's just like a fine trick. But there's like, I'll take the Fog. There's a legit chance, against like a heavy vehicle deck, I could want multiple pressure points. So, next pack, what we are looking for, another removal spell would be nice, but not required. What we need is 2 drops. Very specifically, Aviary Mechanic would be nice. I would not mind a Propeller Pioneer in the 4 slot, or some Sky Swirl Harriers. Yeah. I think the Vigilance on this card's a little underrated. Even if you're not casting it for them to die, it's just like the Vigilance is oddly good if you don't do like in both ways. Like if you can't go wide mode because you have to like fight big creatures, you can like Vigilance attack and make weird spots for them. This pack's not the greatest for us. Kind of want to take. So the option like this Gaunty is really good, but we saw no black. Puzzle Knot and like these cards are not playable for what we're doing. I don't want to splash a Malfunction with an on-color removal spell already. So I would splash a Cloud Blazer though, and I would. The thing with the Oval Chase Dragster is the card is only really good when you can set up multiple attacks with it. This charge is definitely getting in my deck. And I don't have a lot of like Pressure Point can do that. The combat tricks they can't really do that because you're tapping mana. Like the trick with that card, you have to like EOT kill spell their creature and get like a profitable attack with it into nothing, and then they untap and they're like, oh crap, I have to like block it and take damage. Not really where I want to be, so I think I'm just going to take Cloud Blazer and potentially splash. So the pick here is between Prophetic Prism and Cogwork Puzzle Knot. Prism supports the Cloud Blazer the most. Puzzle Knot supports the rest of the deck the most. I think I just want to take the Puzzle Knot and continue with the other, bunch of cards and not worry about the Prism. Especially because I don't have artifact synergies for the Prism to begin with. I'll take an Impeccable Timing. It's not the greatest removal spell. If you remember, Gideon's Approach was kind of in Battle for Zendikar, even though that format's not exactly the same. That effect was definitely worse there. This effect is the destroyed, like damage attacking and blocking creatures is always one of those fringe things. This might actually be one of the better ones ever, but like in positioning, even then it's still just like a fine card. But none of the other cards are going in our deck, so just get in there. Um, Options, I think, in my mind, are we're light on the 2 slot, so I think Eddie Trailhawk's fine, even though it's not like really a 2 drop that interacts. High Spire Artisan is pretty reasonable here, just because we need things to like gum up the board a little. Acrobatic Maneuver with our Augmenters and Edgecrafters is good, but I don't want to. I don't want to take this. We already have a lot of like spells. I would rather take a creature. Um, I don't want to take Wild Wander. We already have a couple fours. I think I'm just going to take Hawk. Um, like I already have a lot of spells. The maneuver is like replacing something and being a little better than it, and it's not clutch for the way my deck's gonna function. Whereas like this isn't actually replacing anything; it's just like playing a role. Even though it's not like as it like it doesn't look as synergistic, it just is um, a little less replaceable. Okay, so this is an interesting pick. We've got a Hunt the Weak and a Propeller Pioneer. Um, I think I don't want to take the Tiger. It's just like a big creature that doesn't line up with what I'm doing. I think I'm taking the removal spell. I think that just having another removal spell is more powerful, especially in green white. I mean, white does have a lot of removal, but I think Propeller Pioneer is a little more replaceable. And again, I am taking another 4 cost card, so it's hard to say that. But this is different. It's not quite like a 4 drop creature that's like stuck in your hand and then like does something. It just you cast it when it's good. And fortunately, we get another great 4 drop. Puma Outrider is just a no-brainer here. Um, just really powerful and a 4/4, and the rest of the pack doesn't do anything. So I think I'm gonna use this option or this opportunity to pick up an Appetite for the Unnatural. Just have an artifact removal spell on my 75 or my 42. Um, there's also an argument to be had for hating the hazardous conditions because it's one of the best sideboard cards against half of what my deck's doing. I think there's an argument also for the Consulate Skygate because our 2 drops are kind of mediocre, but we'll put the Appetite in our sideboard. Um, I think taking the Attune with the Aether here is the right pick. It lines up best with our Cloud Blazer and like lets us actually get increased card quality. Tiger's just a creature in our deck that I'm not super excited about because it's hard to fuel it multiple times. Because that's really when this card, if it attacks 2 or 3 times as a 6/6, that's when it really clicks. Hard in our deck to do that. I don't mind Ninth Bridge Patrol either, but that's kind of something that'll fall into my lap and I'll be okay with eventually. I'd rather just take the Attune because I think that actually opens up more. Options here are the O4 or the Takedown. Um, I passed an Experimental Aviator. I'm not too. I kind of want the O4 because I could see this deck, with all these 1/1s, like bad 2 drop blockers, being soft to hyper aggressive decks. I'll take the Malfunction as a backup splashable spell. We already have a 6 drop. So next pack, I am looking for. What am I looking for? I could use some more quality 2s and 3s, and I could use another fixer for the Cloud Blazer, another good. I need Aviator Mechanic. That's the card that this deck just absolutely needs. Um, I don't really want to splash another card that much. I'm pretty happy with the spells I have. I've got an Impeccable Timing that's definitely making the cut, a Hunt the Weak, a Skywiller Shot, the 2 Mass Pumps. This pressure point actually probably won't make it. I don't think I want 3 pressure points, but I wouldn't mind having access to a 7 drop if that happens. Oh boy, this is a pick. I think I want the Maneuver, just with all the cards. High Spire Artisan is really nice in my deck. I gotta take the Maneuver here, I think. I'll take another Appetite, even though that card's actually not that good against us because this blocks it. The 5/2, it's just the same thing as the 5/2 as Hulking Devil Cobble Brute has always been. So looking at this pack, yeah, I just have a personal rule to never pass Kujar Seed Sculptor. It's just like so far ahead of all the other creatures of its cost, and so far ahead for green, and just so important in what it does, and so good in the late game too. I get that there's a Captured by the Consulate. This is a card that I've actually kind of come down on. I'm not as excited about it as I was. And our deck's also not going like we can go around a captured creature, but at the same time, this is going to be redirecting removal spells, but we don't really care about those because we are, going wide with creatures, and we don't have a way. Like if we go big on our creatures, we don't have a way to go over. This card's really good when you have flyers. It's good when your flyers don't get killed by removal spells. It's just not great in this deck. It's kind of situational. Skyskift's also a card here, but I need the 2-drop. So just again, my general rule is I just if I can like not like slam dunking a great card, again, none of these cards are exceptionally great, and I'm not like slam dunking one. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's an Arbor Stomper. Oh my gosh, there's a Nature's Way. I'm just taking this card. It's just so good to have a great 2-drop in your deck. And we've passed 4 Thriving Grubs that we need to block. Oh my gosh. I hope they're spread out. There's another Saheeli's Artistry. I don't really like this 4-drop. I'm going to take the High Spire Artisan. It should be okay. There's another Engineered Might, but I'd rather take the Attune here. I don't need 3 of this effect. And even though this might be better than Spire Charge, the replacement's not enough, or not as great. Whereas if I take Attune, I can actually have a really sweet mana base. Probably playing 16 lands with 2 Attunes here. The dream would be a Thriving Rhino. Another energy sink. I think that's just the best one. Huh. Just take a 3rd Attune. I think that's right. I don't really want to go down the road of Resto Gearsmith. Sure, why not? We're kind of a little more flexible on our mana, too. So cutting lands for Attunes is fine in this deck. We could also double splash with 3 Attunes, which I do not mind at all. The other options, Eager Construct or Aradara. I'm not huge on Aradara in this deck. Eager Construct is kind of a dork. We've got a lot of dorky 2s. Guess we could take I'm going to take Welding Sparks. There's a chance I just splashed that and I'm very happy about it. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I don't really want a second Artisan. I kind of want another finisher, so I want the Tiger here. But Cobra is pretty good. I just have like enough. I don't know if I've got 2s. I kind of just need another way to win the game. That might actually be true. I've got the charges. Actually, have to think about this. My deck's starting to become a good Tiger deck. Yeah. I think I'll take the Tiger. Another Acrobatic Maneuver is pretty okay with me. We've got a lot of good targets for it. Basically every creature in our deck is fine to target. So we could splash those 2, or we could splash the Cloud Blazer, or both. Both is a little aggressive. I'm already regretting my previous decision. There's a Riparian Tiger. Welding Sparks is really nice in this deck. We have a lot of servos. This deck is going to have some interesting deck building. Yeah, I should have taken the Cobra potentially. I could take a Puzzle Knot and ping some stuff away. I think I just want to take down just to have access to one. I think I might have passed another, but I know I passed another Puzzle Knot this pack. Oh, why am I talking about hate drafting at any point in this? This is a league. I'm still in Pro Tour prep mode. So we're going to basically play 22 here. That card's actually kind of obnoxious to have to play against some days. Just like having to think about combat tricks is not what I want. Curio Vendor is a card, I guess. And now we've reached the complete dregs of the pack. Yeah, sure, Curio Vendor. Okay. So we have like 15 creatures. Just make sure I didn't miss anything in deck build. I don't want to play any of this stuff. I don't want to main deck an Appetite in this deck. especially because again my creatures just aren't ones that I care about getting enchantment removal. So like if I cared about, let's get those back up there. If I cared about my creatures getting like malfunctioned or uh, revoke privileged or whatever, I'd have more of an argument for an enchantment removal spell. But as is, I just get value out of all my things entering the battlefield. Plus, I have these to counter those enchantment removal spells, so I can just fight whatever my opponent does. So we've got some of those. Let's line up the removal on color. We've got tricks, and this is 27, and I think 16 with 3 is a lot of mana. This might be a 15 with 3. I'd like to try that. I can always fix it after the first match if it's very obviously wrong. So I have to cut 2 cards if it's 15 with 3. I have to also figure out splashes. I have 15 creatures, so it's not a creature. I guess cutting the Cloud Blazer would be cutting a creature. Cloud Blazer is pretty good in my deck. I'm okay on removal too, I think. I think I just don't want to splash red. I think if I don't splash red, I'd rather just have a basic instead of that too, because I'm committing less mana to it. So I have 16 lands with these two. I have 3 sources for my Cloud Blazer. That sounds pretty good. I think it's 961 because I want the mana for those, and I can find planes with those. So I effectively have like 8 planes in the deck. Let's just think about this. Yep, that's right. Okay. I don't think I have any questions about any of the cards in my deck. So we're playing double acrobatic over anything else because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just a million targets. Cool. And that's it for our green white servo tokens deck.